Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. And today I want to debunk or really just react to this ridiculous narrative going around that Kadarius Toney is a bust or has red flags or has some negative attention going toward him because of the past few isolated events that have occurred. And people writing articles already, like Mike Florio from NBC Sports writing an article like basically shitting on Kadarius Toney, being like he's working with the second team. His career started off to a rocky start and all this crap. And I'm sitting here like, are we really that bored? Are people really that bored? Are people really like, we can't think of anything positive to say after all the great moves we made this offseason on defense and offense? We're focusing on Kadarius Toney leaving practice early because of an isolated incident or not going to voluntary OTAs because of a situation he had with his contract. And we're going to go through, there's three main factors that are playing a part in people freaking out already, and it's mind-blowing to me. It's so ridiculously foolish, and I want to get this out of the way so we don't have to talk about this again, because it's not something to be concerned about, and people are finding things to be concerned about. I think maybe it's just leftover from past Giant seasons and players and antics and stuff we've seen in the past that spark a couple of bad emotions. But I want to break down and react as to why these things are happening and why, we shouldn't be worried. But Anthony, before we dive into these things regarding Kadarius Toney, how you doing today, my friend?
Doing good. Still recovering, still trying to get better, ease back into the podcast scene, and I'm excited. And, Kadarius Toney, I do think that this is BS, that this is really even a discussion that we'd have to have. I think people are trying to push a specific narrative, as they love to do with New York sports media. That's just what happens. You find a New York sports player, and then you push a narrative about them, and then it snowballs into something greater than it ever should have been. And that's pretty much what's happening with Kadarius Toney. Really, the way that I see it, really not a problem. I don't think he's done anything wrong. And I think, it's pretty obvious, like it was a no-brainer that he would be working with the second team before he's ever, really got introduced to the team. That's just what the Giants do. That's what they've been doing for years, even before Joe Judge was here. I think that most teams around the NFL work their rookies in slowly. Don't think it's that surprising. And the Giants just have talented receivers, so him working exclusively with the second team might not necessarily be an indictment on Kadarius Toney. Might just say, wow, Kenny Golladay is amazing, Sterling Shepard is a long-term veteran who's always been good, and Darius Slayton is now in his third season and he's pretty good too. So there's only 3 starting receivers technically, so obviously the fourth receiver is part of the second team, and Kadarius Toney is easily the fourth receiver, but he's going to play a lot in the regular season. It's not going to be a problem. I don't know. I think this whole thing is ridiculous. I completely agree with you, Alex, and I guess I'm excited to discuss it and talk about why Kadarius Toney, I'm still high on him and definitely don't think he's a bust before he's even played a preseason snap.
Yeah, okay, so here are the 3 factors that people are basing this opinion off and starting this narrative, and I think it's not so much people as it is analysts and some people with some actual voices in the community that have spurred people to now jump onto this bandwagon. Maybe people that they trust, like Florio. Some people might trust him and then take his opinion and spin it into a negative. So basically, the first thing that happened with Kadarius Toney is the equipment manager for the Giants messed up, gave him the wrong pair of cleats, right? This is during rookie camp. Gave him the wrong pair of cleats, wrong size. And then Kadarius Toney slipped because they had the wrong size cleats. He had to take off his shoe. He was playing with one cleat, and then he almost got a calf injury. Right? That was the thing. He went down with a minor calf injury, and his agents were like, "Dude, you're not going back there. You're not going to voluntary OTAs until you get your contract signed because you showed up. The team messed up without your contract guaranteed yet, without your contract signed. We don't want that to influence your money, your guaranteed salary, whatever." Because of a mistake they made. They were like, that's ridiculous. And I agree with them. It's my player. This is a guy who hasn't signed his contract yet. He's going out of merit to rookie camp and to OTAs to get some acclimation with the team. And the equipment manager is giving him the wrong pair of cleats on numerous occasions, and he's slipping all over the place, and the conditions are not great. So, of course, as an agent, you're trying to protect your player. No, you're not going to this thing. So the agents it took him some time to get the contract signed. Kadarius Toney has nothing to do with the contract negotiations. He's not sitting in the room negotiating with Pettit or Abrams and getting this deal done. It's the agent. So it takes as long as it takes them to get things settled. Saquon Barkley did the same thing, by the way. He didn't show up until training camp during 2018 in his rookie season. So it's not like, this is a new thing. A lot of first-round picks do this. They wait until training camp. I mean, think about what Bosa did. Bosa almost missed the first game of the regular season a couple years ago with the Chargers. So it happens all the time. The first round pick is usually the last guy to sign a contract anyway. So right off the bat, equipment manager not doing a great job helping out Kadarius Toney, almost gets him injured. The contract hasn't been signed yet. They're like, okay, you know what? We're waiting out voluntary. He'll be there for minicamp when the contract is signed. And he did show up to minicamp. The second thing is, the guy had to leave the last practice of minicamp, right? I think it was Thursday. The last practice of minicamp had to leave halfway through because of a family emergency, which Joe Judge let him go. If it wasn't anything serious, Joe Judge would have been like, okay, you're staying. But obviously it was something serious if he left and Joe Judge approved it and he had to go to a family emergency. Who knows what that could have been? That could have been his mom had a freaking stroke, or his grandma is really sick and went to the ER. It could have been anything, and we don't know what it is, so I'm not going to sit here and act like it wasn't something serious, because if it was something serious, it'd make anyone that's using that as an excuse look really dumb. You know what I mean? If your grandma or someone you love was in the hospital, you would drop work and you'd go to them. Would you not? If you didn't, then, that's your decision, but I would go. You know what I mean? So I think what I'm trying to say is don't make premature assumptions on stuff you don't know about. This is a family emergency. Very much worth going to attend this emergency, and Joe Judge obviously approved it. So, all right, let's throw away that one. That second factor, that can't even be used. That's a very valid excuse. The third one, essentially, what did he do? So, okay, so what was the third factor? What was the third thing people are harping on? I just wrote it down.
I don't know, but I'll dive in real quick and give my take on what you've said. In terms of the family emergency, I think that's obviously something that's going to be kept private, and it should be, and there's no reason to speculate necessarily on what it might have been, but I'll say, just to the greater Kadarius Toney conversation, I kind of sort of have a theory that maybe this family emergency was not a one-time thing. Maybe there's a situation that's ongoing. Maybe someone is ill. Again, I don't want to speculate. I don't know. Maybe there is some family emergency that's been ongoing for Kadarius Toney that has given him an excuse to not be at the voluntary workouts. Of course, we all want to assume that he didn't go to voluntary workouts because of contract negotiations. It's a fair assumption. Makes sense. But there also could have been other factors at play, potentially a family emergency. Maybe either he had more of a greater reason to not be at those voluntary practices. Maybe he, as a human being, is personally needed elsewhere, and he had prior commitments in terms of something with his family. That's fine. He doesn't need to go to a voluntary practice if that's the case, and he doesn't even need to go if it is because of the money thing and he just wanted to guarantee that he doesn't get injured. I don't care about either of those things if he's not there. Like, I don't mind him not being at practice for those things. And when I heard that he left practice early because of a family emergency, that to me did say maybe there is something more going on in the background with Kadarius Toney that we don't know about, that we don't need to know about, that we need to respect his privacy on. Maybe he's just dealing with a lot right now, and it's been really hard for him to actually be present at the Giants facility when he needs to be present elsewhere. So he left early on Thursday for the family emergency, and I do personally think that there's probably some sort of family emergency that's been ongoing that caused him to leave practice early that day, but has also caused him to not show up to multiple practices in the past. And I think if that is the case, I don't know if that's the case, but if that is the case, then yes, Giants fans, we need to cut him a lot of slack and let him deal with his personal family thing. That might be an ongoing situation. You don't know whether or not it is, but let's just assume now that he did leave practice early that he might have some more moments where he has to miss practice or leave practice early because of family emergencies, and it might be ongoing. So let's just respect his privacy on that, respect that, and not penalize him in the media like PFN is trying to do. Let's not penalize him in the media because he clearly has something going on outside of football that is more important than a sport, okay? So I have total respect for Kadarius Toney. I don't mind the fact that he misses these practices, especially when there is a family emergency involved. I know what it's like to miss events that you're committed to because of family emergencies. I've dealt with things pretty recently about that, and I'm sure many of you listening to this have too. When you've got a family emergency and you can't be present at your work or your school or whatever it is, you just can't be there, and that's fine, and someone has to just respect that, and most of the time they will, and it seems like the Giants are respecting that and giving him the privacy that he needs and allowing him to conduct his business away from football. So think it's totally fine, and that's really my take on the family emergency thing and the fact that he missed the voluntary practices. They were voluntary. There could have been more situations than we know about at play. Plus, I wouldn't want to risk the millions of dollars getting hurt if the equipment staff can't even give me the right cleats on the day one of practice. So I don't blame him. I'm really not concerned about any of the practices that he's missed.
I mean, given when he left for the family emergency, it was the second half of the last mandatory practice. The guy was there the whole week. You know what I mean? This is really, really reaching for stuff here, guys, if you think that's a red flag. But the last factor is that he started out with the second team. You know, people are like, oh, well, Elijah Moore with the Jets started out with the first team. That's because the Jets and Corey Davis already is injured. Corey Davis already has a shoulder strain. He's not even practicing right now. So the Jets obviously pulled up Elijah Moore because they needed another receiver for Zach Wilson to throw to. So that... Also, let's not question Joe Judge's process. We know that Joe Judge loves to get his guys, his rookies, acclimated with the second team early. He likes them to climb through the ranks. Look, these guys are rookies. They don't know what an NFL practice is like. They don't know the scheme. They don't know the style. They don't know anybody yet. They don't even know how to get around the building. So why are you going to put Kadarius Toney with the first team already, you know, when he doesn't even know the scheme, the system? He doesn't know anything. They're just trying to get him into some basic routes, some basic isolated drills, some basic stuff with the backup team just to get him acclimated. That way he can make the step up and go into the first team already understanding exactly what to do. Because if he goes and plays with the first team, he doesn't know anything. Like Kenny Galladay's a veteran, right? He knows a lot of these systems, knows a lot of these schemes, knows what an NFL practice is like. You know, he already had been signed way before Kadarius Toney was drafted, so he had already been to the facilities and he knew where everything was. You know what I mean? So it's like he already knew what to expect going into the first team. And I think for the most part, they just wanted Kadarius Toney to get in there. Like, there's not enough reps to go around for everybody, too. Like, the Giants do have Sterling Shepard. They do have Kenny Golladay. They do have Evan Ingram. They'd rather Kadarius Toney get more reps with the second team than be standing around waiting for Daniel Jones to be done throwing to all of those other guys. You know what I mean? Get in more reps. Doesn't matter who it's with. It's freaking mandatory minicamp. They're literally throwing and catching from, like, a standstill perspective. They're not even really running live routes, like a lot of live routes. You know what I mean? It's a lot of just, like, situational stuff, just like basic, you know, like red zone toss-ups with nobody covering them. These are not real plays. You know, when we get to training camp and then he's running with the second team and it's not going up to the first team, then we can talk about it. But right now it's mandatory minicamp. He's just getting acclimated. This is Joe Judge's process. Why are we questioning him? You know what I mean? Like, why are people questioning stuff they don't even know about? We don't know what Joe Judge's process is. Obviously, this is part of it. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So why are people making assumptions or judgments that they do not know anything about? That is a problem. That is a negativity-born narrative, and I think we need to overlook that specifically. This is ridiculous that we have to be talking about this right now, and it just pisses me off that analysts and people that, you know, fans respect put this crap out there to change opinions and twist people's minds and try to get people to click on their crap because it's they need some extra bucks or something. I don't know what it is, but it just pisses me off, man. Like, we got to be talking about this. I'd rather be talking about the positivity this team is bringing, like what Kadarius Toney actually offers this team as a very shifty, mobile, powerful runner from a wide receiver perspective. You know, he's a very great prospect that's coming into this team that can really offer the offense a multitude of different things, ranging from a gadget-style player to a purebred slot receiver who can also move to the outside on occasion and do a lot of things for us to create confusion for defenses and secondaries. And I'm really excited to see what he can do. I'm not worried about any of these factors. We've seen crap happen a lot in the past. You know, if you want to talk about actual crap that's happened, go look at DeAndre Baker and the mess that happened after that. You know what I mean? Go look at actual crap that happened. Go look at actual scenarios that drove, you know, player stock down. Are we really factoring a family emergency, the equipment manager messing up, and Joe Judge's process for rookies? Are we really hitting Kadarius Toney with the bust narrative already because of those things? How soft have we become? You know, some of these fans it's so soft. Like, these are not, like, if it progresses and other things happen, then we can talk about it. But this is not worth it, guys. This is not worth the madness that we actually have to make a video about it.
Okay, I'm gonna drop a bomb for you real quick, Alex. I think that I just did all the research while you're speaking, and I'm basically going to tell you why this whole thing with Kadarius Toney playing on the second team right now is bullshit. Excuse my language. Okay, so here's May 28th, 2019. Here's a tweet. This is a report. Daniel Jones getting some snaps with second team. Okay, it's fine for rookies to work in with the second team. May 28th, 2019, Daniel Jones getting second team 11-on-11 reps. This is Matt Lombardo, May 28th. Daniel Jones took the lion's share of second-team reps with the Giants offense that didn't try to push the ball downfield on Tuesday. Of course, they didn't do that in the regular season either. But that was May 28th, 2019 as well. He started off his rookie season working with the second team in May, which is what Kadarius Toney was doing at the rookie minicamp, at the voluntary or the mandatory minicamps. They start the rookies off at the second team. And now this is not just exclusive to quarterbacks, okay? The reason it is applicable to Daniel Jones, he was drafted. The Giants already had Eli Manning on the roster. I understand that. So he was in second team, eventually worked his way into the starting lineup in the regular season. I get that. But he didn't take any first-team reps at minicamp. Like, he just was second team exclusively, and Eli stayed with the first team. They didn't even work him in until towards the end, which is fine. That's normal. That's what you do with the rookies. And then, of course, Eli Manning was starting ahead of Daniel Jones in his rookie season. For Kadarius Toney, you have guys like Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, and Darius Slayton starting ahead of him at his rookie season. But it's not a one-season thing for Kadarius Toney. He has a full career ahead of him. Sterling Shepard, a lot of people think he might be on his way out. A lot of people think Darius Slayton is going to lower the expectations for him as Kadarius Toney's expectations rise. So sure, these guys are starting ahead of him now. Come the regular season, Kadarius Toney might be starting ahead of two of those guys, and he might be the second receiver on the team, despite the fact that he's taking second-team reps right now. This is so ridiculous. And here's the number one bomb that I'm going to drop right here. This is from August of 2020. This is basically preseason and training camp time. Okay, this is August 15th, 2020. This is from the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson. This is a tweet from Adam Levitin, who is a Minnesota beat writer. Still very early, but for now, B.C. Johnson, I don't even know who that is. Some receiver that played for Minnesota last year. B.C. Johnson is lining up opposite Adam Thielen and Minnesota's preferred two wide receiver set. Chad Beebe, first team slot. Justin Jefferson with the second unit. Justin Jefferson was an All-Pro in his rookie 2020 season. So, why the hell is this narrative being drawn up about Kadarius Toney working with the second team in June and May of 2021, when come August he might still be with the second team, and come the following year he might be an All-Pro? Because that's what happened with Justin Jefferson. This is stupid. This is bullshit. It's ridiculous that they're trying to paint this narrative. That's Mike Florio of Pro Football Network for you. Of course, he does this shit all the time. It's annoying that I have to talk about something like this, because literally just look 1 year ago at Justin Jefferson. He was working with the second unit in August, and he was an All-Pro that season. This is May and June. Kadarius Toney was a 20th pick, which is relatively close to, I think, Justin Jefferson was a 23rd pick. So they worked him in with the second unit. Eventually, yes, Kadarius Toney will get his first team reps. He will become a starter, and he will be a good football player for the Giants. The fact that he's working with the second team in June does not mean that he won't become a good starter for the Giants. This is ridiculous, ridiculously stupid, the fact that this narrative is being painted, and I want everyone to please just ignore it and look ahead towards the future, towards training camp and all that. When Kadarius Toney, he will eventually be a starter on this team. There's a guarantee in place for that from me, and there's just really no doubt in my mind, or probably most of your minds, that he will be a starter. They're just working him into the playbook and the lineup through the second team. That's a very normal procedure in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, clip that. That's all you need to know. I mean, if you want to debunk something, it's guys like Ghostbusters out here just absolutely just blew that narrative out of the water. So I think that was a great way to put it, Anthony. And if you're really still here after listening to this about 20-minute video justifying all these different things, and you still think these are red flags, I don't know what to tell you. Think again. This is not, we've seen red flags, guys. We've seen Josh Brown abuse his wife. We've seen John J. Baker get wrapped up in holding a party hostage, whatever. Even if it didn't come to fruition that actually was true, that was serious. You know what I mean? We've seen OBJ do whatever else. Those were antics. Those were serious situations. This is not. This is a big reach. So, to all those analysts out there that are trying to spin this narrative and really influence our fellow fans and Giants fans, we hope that you stop, because it's really starting to piss us off. But guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, Saturday and Sunday. have some fun. Enjoy. This is not something to be worrying about, not something to be talking about, not something to be spreading because it's nonsense. But we hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe below on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, my friends. And make sure to sign up to our membership program. In the beginning of our YouTube video, you can see all the different options, bronze, silver, and gold, and what they have to offer. So I hope you guys enjoy that process as well. But as always, much love, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.